Hello, friend. As we continue our journey through the book of Numbers this week, I want to just talk for a few minutes about something that stands out to me, and I'm sure that stood out to you as well. And I want to give you just a lickety-split journey through several passages here. But beginning in chapter 11, God has redeemed them. He has provided for them. He has rescued them from slavery. He has met all their needs. And yet there's this pattern of whining, complaining, discontent, unbelief, and even rebellion. And you see it beginning in chapter 11. The people began complaining openly before the Lord about hardship. And then it says, then there were some among them who had a strong craving for other food, and they wept and said, who will feed us meat? We don't like this food that we have right now. We remember what we had in Egypt, and we loved it back there. Oh, sure. They had been slaves in Egypt. They had been horribly mistreated, but they began to look with longing on the place that they had left. And then we come to chapter 12 and we see Miriam and Aaron, who were two of the leaders. They were Moses' brother and sister, but they criticized Moses. Why should you be in charge? Why shouldn't we be able to be the head over this thing? And they criticized Moses' decisions and his lifestyle. And then we come to chapter 14, and the whole community complains about Moses and Aaron. And they say, if we could have just died in the land of Egypt, or if we could have just died here in this wilderness, you've let us out here to die. Let's get another leader. Let's go back to Egypt. And we come to chapter 16, and you have Korah, who is one of the sons of Levi. And then he gets two prominent leaders from another tribe to join with him. And then 250 of the leaders join with them in criticizing Moses and saying, why are you exalting yourself? Why can't we be in charge here? And you see how this is so toxic, that one person gets bent out of shape, then somebody else does, and then they get a whole bunch of people to follow them, to follow their lead, and before you know it, the whole community of Israel is whining and griping and complaining. You see it again in chapter 20 of the book of Numbers. This time there's no water, so they assembled against Moses and Aaron. And water's pretty important. You have to have it to live. But instead of looking up to the Lord and trusting him to provide, they quarreled with Moses and they said, you've brought us here to die. We hate this place. Over and over and over again. And as I read this, I think, isn't this the bent of our sinful human nature? To want what we don't have, not to want what we do have, to complain about hardship, to gripe, and then we verbalize it. We feel it, then we verbalize it, maybe to one person, then to another person, and then we begin to complain about our leaders, our parents, our husbands, our churches, our pastors, our politicians, and we whine and gripe, and others join in the chorus. It's toxic. It's dangerous, and here's what we see in Numbers. First, the Lord heard when the people whined, and he wasn't pleased. The Lord became angry at their discontent because they were essentially saying, we're not happy with God's decisions. We're not happy with God's provision. This was not just an attack on human leaders or circumstances. This was an attack on the character of God, and God was having none of it. Now, there were glimpses of grace where God provided more resources and better food and provision, quail from heaven and manna from heaven. God provided for his people. This was all grace. But God also disciplined his people. He said, I'm not going to let this go on. Even Moses got disciplined by God for griping against the people who were griping. So whether we're leaders or followers, we have to lift our eyes up to the Lord and say, oh Lord, I'm content with what you've given. You've put me here. I trust you. I'm going to follow you, and I'm going to be satisfied with what you provide. And if we don't, then we will experience the discipline of the Lord and greater hardship along the way. So would you just take a moment and say, Lord, where am I being dissatisfied, discontent, disloyal to the leaders that you've placed in my life or my workplace? And Lord, may I demonstrate the meekness, the humility, the contentment of Jesus in every circumstance where you place me.